So I'm going to show you how to put a waistband elastic in when you're using a narrow waist right now. This is going to be a practice skirt, a pull-on practice skirt for skating. So like that, or for, small tights for small kids. A lot of the times I'll use just the 3/8 inch elastic or 1/2 inch elastic for their waist, because they don't need the big, like 1 inch or 1.5 inch like this. Like that's a big hefty elastic. It's not needed. So what you're going to do for this doesn't need to have a whole lot of stretch. It doesn't need to really suck you in. In fact, you don't really want this to be a really tight elastic, because it's going over tights and you don't want it to pinch. So I usually go just very slightly shorter than what the actual waistband is. So this is the waistband as it is. So I'll measure it to the actual size here, fold it over in half. I'm being very clumsy today, and cut it. So now what happens is that this is about the length of the top of this where the elastic's going in, and where it's going to lose some of the stretch is when I overlap it. So it'll be slightly smaller in that case. The next thing you want to do is find the center front. You just put the side seams together, and there's your center front. And I'll just mark it with a pin. Likewise, I'm going to take the elastic, and this is just me. You can start at any side because it's going to be an even stretch the whole way for this type of elastic application. I just like to have the seam, I guess the folder of the elastic to be in the center back, because it's least noticeable there. So now that I found the center front of the elastic, or the center point of the elastic, I should say, I'm going to pin it right to the center point of the front of the yoke, like that. I just pinned that to the right side of the fabric. I don't know why I did that. You're going to pin it to the wrong side of your fabric. See, I've been sewing for 30 years, spandex, and I can still do really dumb things sometimes. So anyways, we're going to be starting at the center back seam, which is directly opposite the center front. So just making sure that your elastic isn't flipped at any point. Just hold it up to that center back. And using a medium or medium wide zigzag or serger, I'll be using the serger, set to a wide stitch. You're just going to find where your foot pedal is. Stitch a few. And then you're going to hold this and basically find the halfway point like this. Like you're going to just stretch everything so it all meets, and then hold it to itself. And then you're stretching the whole thing together before you actually stitch, and just hold it the same degree of stretch the whole way. Don't be adjusting your stretch as you go. As you get to that spot, you can let up, stretch to the pin, like holding the pin, stretch it all out. As you get close, make sure you take the pin out, because you do not want to serge over that. And then you're going to take the end of it and hold it just slightly overlapping the start point. Pull it all out like that, and continue along. And as you can see, you've got the elastic inserted. It doesn't have a ton of ruffling, because it's not that much smaller than the actual body of the fabric. The body of the fabric is about 80% of the measurement of the skater that's going to wear this. So it already has some degree of stretch. So when it's being worn, it's stretched out. Like I said, this is going to be minimally, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just not going to suck you in a lot. Like it doesn't need a lot of strength. It doesn't need a lot of hold. It just keeps it up, basically. So now you're going to want to flip that. Swap my machines. So I've got my sewing machine set up with a wide zigzag and a medium wide stitch length. You can fold this one of two ways. I prefer to do it so that the right side's facing up. And what I do is I cup my fingers underneath it so I can guide everything flat. You basically want this part of the fabric tight around the elastic. So if I do this, I can feel from under here, I don't know how to show, but like it's like a claw, like I claw it and feed it through. So then as I'm sewing it, it's tight the whole way like that. Otherwise, you can sew with the wrong side up, flip it this way, and then just try and feel as you go that it stays flat. Personally, I find I get a better result from stitching on the top because you can see what's going on. Sometimes if you stitch with the right side down, you might get a ruffle or something that you don't realize is happening. And you won't see that until you're done all the way. So I'm going to do with the right side facing up as I prefer to do it. So holding it tight around the elastic. I'm just going to get my fingers under there, and I'm going to basically feed the stretch the whole way. And these fingers are guiding to keep the elastic tight against that elastic, the fabric tight against the elastic. As with most of my sewing, I'm giving it the stretch and feeding it through together because I want this to have a fair amount of stretch. It's going to be going over the hips, it's going to be worn. So as you can see, my thumb is guiding where the fabric's going also. Another thing important to mention is I'm aiming, you can't see through here, but basically I'm aiming so that my zigzag is right on the edge of this. If you stitch too close to the outside, so to the actual fold, what happens is you just get a really, it'll flip. You know, you want to have this so that your stitch is right on the inner edge of the elastic. Come to the end and finish it off. So now, as you can see, it's tight around that top edge. There's no bumps or ruffles or anything like that. It's just a nice, clean, very durable elastic insertion. So that is the narrow elastic waistband elastic.